Good morning, Montreat. I heard one. Thank you for that. Good morning, Montreat. Thank you. I'm glad you guys are here for a really important conversation this morning. We hear more and more in the news about sexual assault on college campuses. And it's very important that as college students that you're aware of the issues, that you're aware of the signs, and that you may get to play a part in preventing that from happening for someone you care about or someone you love. So this is an important time, and I'm grateful you're here for that. Before we open with a word of prayer, I just want to remind you that tomorrow and Wednesday we are excited to welcome Phil Vischer, the co-creator of Veggie Tales, a.k.a. the voice of Bob Tomato as well. He's going to be right here in Graham Chapel on Tuesday night at 7, and then at Chapel Wednesday morning at 10. And you'll get a chance to ask questions. We'll have a text Q&A like we often do. Do not miss this opportunity. It's a really important chance to engage with a really key voice in children's ministry and production. So really invite you to come out for that. Let's start out with a word of prayer. Let's pray. God, we are aware of the gift of this day, the gift of this moment of health, of our minds, of our opportunities. And God, we pray to make the most of this gift, especially this morning and this time. God, we pray for a vision of life that as you've designed it to be lived, a life where dignity is honored and cherished, a life where the justice is upheld, life where women and men can be valued for who they are and who you've made them to be. And we pray that we will learn today just how to uphold that vision for all. And we pray for your help in the strong name of Jesus. Amen. All right, to introduce our guest and to set up our conversation today, I'd like to invite our Director of Counseling, our very own Holly Woodward. Give her a round of applause.
Good morning. Good morning. I am really excited to see all of you guys here. We have two special guest speakers today. Erica was here last April, and for those of you that don't know, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month nationally. Okay, so Erica works at Mission Hospital. She's a forensic nurse examiner, so she works with victims of sexual assault, and she also works in the morgue, which is kind of gross and fascinating all at the same time. She also has her husband, Kyle, with her today. Kyle is a detective with the Hendersonville Police Department. So they're going to share with you a little bit about their experience working with survivors of sexual assault.
All righty. I don't typically speak into a microphone on a daily basis. I guess... I work in the morgue at Mission Hospital, and we handle all the deaths for Mission Hospital and the county of Buncombe. And then also we collect evidence for sexual assaults, and we take pictures for domestic violence. We also handle child abuse, elder abuse, so anything like that. One of the reasons why we come here today is to kind of bring awareness about the problem of sexual assault, and I see it a lot, and mainly it is for college girls, which we have seen kind of a decrease this last year. I don't know if that's good because it's not happening or if it's just not getting reported. This last year, I think we saw more of the 13, 14-year-olds who were getting taken advantage of by older men. And then last year when I came, I said I really hadn't had any men that had been sexually assaulted. Well, that changed last year. We saw quite a few. I know I saw 3, which that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you go from 0 to 3, that is quite a lot. And those guys, they actually didn't end up wanting to report to law enforcement. They did want treatment for any kind of STDs. And all of them said that they were out drinking and then they just woke up and they knew that something had happened. So we were seeing a problem of people, I guess, putting stuff in people's drinks and not knowing about it. Also, whenever we get done, if anybody has any questions, we'll answer questions. Or if you want to come up and ask me or Kyle something privately, you don't want to ask in front of everybody else, that is perfectly fine too. Let's see. Get my. And I'll also talk about we're opening the Family Justice Center in Buncombe County, and I don't know if any of y'all have heard about that, but it's pretty much going to be a one-stop shop for any victims, male or female, domestic violence or sexual assault. So from Monday through Friday, from 8 to 5, if you have been sexually assaulted, you can come in, get a kit. You can meet with the police. You can meet with Pisgah Legal Services, the victim's advocate. You pretty much meet with everybody you need to meet with in one place. And also, bonus, you don't have to go to the ER and probably wait for 4 to 6 hours to get seen. So I know some people are like, well, what happens if it happens outside of Monday through Friday, 8 to 5? You would go to the ER for that, or if, let's say, something happened Sunday night or early Monday morning, you can always wait till we open, Monday at 8 and come in. Because we are now collecting evidence 5 days out from the assault, because we have found that we can collect very good evidence after 5 days. So you still have that time frame. Also, I know some people, when it happens, they don't know if they want to report. You can always come in. We can collect the evidence. We can give you all the medications like pregnancy prevention, STD prevention, and you can have the kit collected. And if you don't know if you want to report, we can hold it for a year. And then if you decide, we already have the evidence. Because a lot of people, I'd say the first week or two, maybe a month after it happens, they really struggle with wanting to report or not, or thinking that it's their fault. And then a month or two later, they've got the strength that they know they want to do something about it. So if y'all have something happen to you, please just come in and we can collect it, we can give you treatment, and then you have the opportunity to wait and decide if you want to report. Let's see. 1 in 5 women will be a victim of sexual assault while in college. So I'm sure some of y'all know somebody that's been sexually assaulted, or y'all will know somebody that's sexually assaulted, or it will happen to you. 1 in 16 men will be a victim of sexual assault during college. And I actually think that's more, but men do not report. And Kyle will talk a little bit more about that. Let's see. And most people do know the victim. I rarely have anybody that doesn't know who assaulted them. I think I had one girl that was actually walking back to her dorm, and somebody grabbed her, assaulted her, and knocked her out and left her in the bushes, and she didn't know who it was. But most of the time, it is somebody that you're hanging out with and that you know. And also, if you or both of you are drinking, that doesn't mean that you can give consent to have sex. So if, guys, if you're with a girl and she's really drunk, and that can come back and bite you in the butt, because if she is drunk and she doesn't really understand what's going on, she may say she does, but if she is stumbling and falling, just leave her alone, because she will wake up typically the next morning and say, something happened, but I don't remember, and it becomes a whole big mess. So just to keep yourselves out of trouble. And it goes the same way for girls too. I have seen girls take advantage of guys because they were drunk. So just be careful out there. Let's see. Got something to say. I think about 40% of colleges and universities reported not investigating a single sexual assault in the previous 5 years. That is a lot, but fortunately, I think Montreat is doing a really good job of taking care of people that come forward. Can't say that about some of the other colleges around here. I'm not going to mention any names, but they are working on it. They're not just leaving it alone. So y'all do have a really good program here to help with that. And also, if you feel like somebody's not listening to you, just come to the Family Justice Center. It's supposed to be open July 1st. So that's going to be absolutely wonderful for people that don't want to go to the ER, and that's a lot of the reason why people don't get a kit done. So I want to say the reason why I got into this is because I was raped when I was 16 years old by my best friend. We had been friends since probably preschool, and we had been drinking, and he took advantage of me, and I did not report because I thought it was my fault, and I should have been more aware, and I shouldn't have trusted him. But, it's something that I dealt with, and I think the reason why it happened to me is so I could be where I am today and help people that go through the same thing. I'm not saying don't trust your best friend or don't trust anybody, but I'd just be careful about who, you're around, and just make sure you're aware of what's going on. You want to go? Okay. All right, here's Kyle.
Just like my wife, I don't talk into a microphone on a daily basis, so forgive me. My name's Kyle Teal. I'm a detective with Hendersonville Police Department. I've been there for 7 years, starting my 7th year. I've been in investigations for the last 3, going on 3. A little bit about myself. I do have a degree in criminal justice. I'm assigned to general investigations with the police department. Our department, the way we're set up is we have a narcotics task force, and then we have guys who are assigned to what's called general investigations. And we handle everything from somebody stole your iPod to a rape to a homicide. So kind of, I think my captain always says, we're kind of a jack of all trades and a master of none. We just kind of, we do it all. So I'm assigned to general investigations, and I'm also assigned to what's called the North Carolina ICAC Task Force. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children. So I'm assigned to that task force. That's a statewide task force. You see these incidents where somebody was talking in a chat room. They thought they were talking to a little girl. It was actually a police officer who they were talking to. So I do a lot of that. I never thought, whenever I went to investigations, I don't want to say I didn't have an interest in sex crimes, but I never thought that I would be handling sex crimes. I thought, well, we have a sex crimes detective for that. I never dreamed that I would be involved in it. I met my wife. She was working at the hospital whenever I was on patrol. And she was very involved in it, and she's taught me a lot about it. So I've kind of, if you ever go into law enforcement, you pick your path. And it seems, I think, just because I met her, this is kind of the path that I'm going down. And I never thought it would bring me here. One of the things I wanted to talk about, does everybody know? And you don't have to raise your hand. I'll cover it. Does everybody know how rape is defined in North Carolina? Does anybody know how it's defined, what the statute says? I'll give you kind of the nuts and bolts of it. North Carolina, for it to be considered, for me to charge someone with rape, it has to be vaginal intercourse. Anything other than and let me back up. The vaginal intercourse, it's kind of broken down. You can have first degree, second degree. There's different degrees of rape. First degree would be something that maybe involves a weapon. You have a female who, the suspect pulled a gun on her. Second degree would be somebody who is physically helpless or has like a mental disorder, some type of cognitive impairment. We seem to run into that more so than the first degree, but it does happen. So vaginal intercourse is how rape is defined in North Carolina. Anything other than vaginal intercourse, oral sex, anal sex, that is defined as a sex offense in North Carolina. So I see a lot of guys in the room. So you're probably like me when I first read it. So whenever I read it, I thought, well, vaginal intercourse, they completely left guys out of that statute. So it makes it, there's different, the way the legislature has it broken down is each crime falls into kind of a tier, Class A, Class B, Class C, and so on, different types of felonies. So if a male gets raped, it kind of goes into a different class. And maybe it might not be as high of a class as a second-degree sex offense may not be as high of a class as a second-degree rape. So men got kind of left out of that. One of the things, so we kind of know now, now I want you, as we're talking, now you kind of have a better understanding as to the different statutes. One of the things Erica talked about was, and she may have touched on it, was you guys have a real big resource here, especially coming up, this Family Justice Center that Buncombe County has put together. And I was actually talking with Holly and David earlier that I'm kind of jealous because in Henderson County, we have a Family Justice Center, but right now the way it's set up is more for advocacy. They help the victim in court. They help them get protection orders. But in Buncombe County, you're going to have a huge resource in that Family Justice Center because you can go there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and you have the hospital also if it's outside of those hours. But one of the things I wanted to touch on was and my wife, she gets on to me when I call it a rape kit. She calls it a sexual assault kit, right? Okay. In law enforcement, it's just we always call it a rape kit. But I can't stress the importance of reporting what has happened and getting a kit done. And now I'm not saying, and Erica may touch on it, the rapes that I've investigated, and it's difficult to investigate these because as a female, if you've been raped by a male, it's the last person you want to talk to is a male cop. And you don't want to talk to them about this. You want to talk to a female, so it's very difficult. On the same, so you're being victimized on. You probably feel like you're being victimized on that end, but also the whole other side of the spectrum is a rape kit. You feel like you're being victimized again because they're doing this exam. But again, I can't stress the importance of reporting it and going through with maybe not all of that exam, but at least some part of it. Because, and Erica will touch on, all of this, a rape kit is, they'll do as much or as little as you tell them to. It's all based off of consent. So why I say at least do part of it is because I'll give you a case example, and I can give you this case example because this case has been adjudicated in court and the guy's been convicted. I had a case where a female came in, it was about 2 weeks after the incident happened. And already, I still have a hard time, and you can ask my wife about it, I have a hard time, I come home and I'm like, 2 weeks, why would you not report it sooner? But again, being with my wife and the training I went to, people don't report. I would like to think that I would report it tomorrow, but in actuality, I would probably wait. So, but nonetheless, this female comes in, says she's been raped, and she gives me her statement. She says, again, somebody she knows. She was living with her parents. She didn't want to live there anymore. She had a guy who was a good friend of hers. She goes over to his house. He's going to offer her a free room. You can stay here as long as you want. Little did she know that there was going to be some type of payment involved that he was thinking. He was expecting some type of payment. She didn't know that. She goes in and she says, the minute he closed the door, I knew something wasn't right. She said, but I didn't know what to do. And she said, I thought maybe he was on drugs. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Something just wasn't right. So long story short, they go to the bedroom. One thing, he asked for a massage. One thing leads to another, and she's raped. He actually kidnaps her and holds her there for the entire night into the next day, makes her take a shower, and Erica will touch on that. Makes her take a shower because he knows, I know everybody in here, I'm a cop and I watch Law and Order and CSI. I'd be lying if I didn't. We love Law and Order. So everybody's watched Law and Order and knows, in CSI, well, he's thinking, I've got to get her to take a shower. So she gets in the shower. She tells me that she has just turned on the faucet, that she didn't take a shower. Ultimately, while he's in the shower, at some point, I guess he kind of trusts her at some point, and he decides to leave. And so she leaves shortly after he does. She goes home. She actually does take a shower this time. I think she took 2 showers, which is common. I would completely understand that. She takes 2 showers. I think she washes her clothes, and then I think she actually throws her clothes away before her parents realize, hey, something's not right. So they take her to the hospital. At this time, she's kind of a couple days. Excuse me. Let me back up. A couple days have passed since all this, and the parents say this isn't right. So they're in this window of, okay, can we do a rape kit? Can we not do a rape kit? There's some hours there. This is before. It used to be 72 hours. Now they've backed it up to 120. There was some question there as to can we do a rape kit? She says, regardless if we can do one, I'm not going to do one. But the doctor did an exam. At least did that little part, did an exam. During the exam, he noted what he saw. He just documented everything that he saw. So I get this report, and what's the first thing I ask? Was there a rape kit done? No, there wasn't a rape kit done, but there was an exam. And I said, okay, I need to talk to the doctor. Well, if anybody, especially, I don't know if anybody's tried to, you can probably talk to your physician, that's easy, but call a hospital and try to talk to a doctor, that's like trying to call the president. It's very difficult, and I thought, he's never going to call me back. He calls me back. I told him what I had, and he says, well, let me look at my file, and I'll call you back. And I thought, yeah, here we go again. He's not going to call back. So he calls back, and he says, I looked at my file, and I noted that there was a large tear. And I said, okay, well, would that, I'm thinking a tear. I understand that. Women, their bodies, the anatomy, you have a baby, a tear to me, okay, I understand that. He says, no, this was a major tear, and this was caused by forcible sex. And I said, would anything else other than forcible sex cause this? And he said, absolutely. He said, it could. He said, somebody could use an object or a toy on themselves, but it is going to be so much excruciating pain that somebody is not going to put themselves through that. So I thought, okay, that is great evidence to have. The case pended for a year or two. Ultimately, the suspect pled guilty to a lesser charge, which is kind of common. But the moral of that story is just that little bit of information that I had, just that little bit of an exam helped me convict somebody. And that's where if you don't want to go through the entire kit, I completely understand. But I always tell my wife, and I know she gets it all the time from other detectives, just give me something. I need something. What else did you want me to touch on? I know one thing she talked about, consent. And I remember another thing that I wanted to talk about. Consent, and I'll go back to a little bit of reporting. Since I've been in investigations, I've assisted with a lot of different sex crimes. Actually investigated and prosecuted, not very many. But you hear the statistics. She gave you the college statistics about 1 in 5 and 1 in 16. In your adult life, I think females is 1 in 3, and men is 1 in 6. So for me to I can sit up here and tell you that I haven't investigated and prosecuted very many. That tells you how underreported it is. And she touched on we've got a lot of men in here, and I've already told you from the male side they left us out of the statute. The legislature, left men out of the statute as far as the rape charge. But when it comes to male reporting, that is even more underreported. I've investigated a couple, never prosecuted any. But just like I said, for a female talking to a male is very difficult. Talking to a male officer, a male victim talking to a male officer is very difficult. Why? Who in here plays sports? You raise your hand. Men? Why would that be difficult? We're men. This doesn't happen to us. We're not weak. We lift weights. We run. We play basketball. We play sports. We're with our buddies. We're men. This doesn't happen to us, right? It does. 1 in 6, actually. If I was to line 6 people up, 1 out of 6 in their adult life, it'll happen to them. It's underreported because of the reason I just said. We're men. This doesn't happen to us. We're strong. We play sports, Exactly. The ones that I have had, they'll come in, they'll report, and then they say, I don't want anything to do with it. I'm done. They feel like I've reported it, and I'm done, which is fine. One of the things Holly and I talked about, and again, I say that's fine because that's your choice. You are the victim, and we are more me than my wife. I'm a servant. I'm here to serve you. And I'm a civil servant. If you say, my case is you direct my investigation. So if you don't want to do anything with it, I completely understand. I was going somewhere with that, and then I lost it. But again, let me go back to the men. They'll come in and report it, and then they don't want to do anything with it because it's very difficult. And also for men and women from the legal side, and it kind of ties into what Erica's talked about, it doesn't just stop at, I came to the police department and I reported it. There is a whole process outside of that. The case I just told you about, it pended for a year, probably 2 years, so you're victimized because you have to talk about it with a police officer. You have to get a rape kit done, and then you've got the whole court process that you have to go through. And eventually, we all have this right. We all have the right to face our accuser. So at some point, that's going to go to court, and you have to be strong enough to sit on the stand and tell that story. So that's what I'm saying. That is one of the main reasons that it is underreported. But I'll touch on something else because I don't want to stand up here too long and get the glazed over eyes. You have a good support system here at the college. You've got counselors. You'll have the Family Justice Center. Use that support system. And again, I pray that it never happens to you. But statistics, you can't fight those statistics. I pray that it'll never happen to you. But if it were to ever happen to you, utilize those resources. Get you an advocate. Report what has happened. Have the exam done because there's a major problem with underreporting. And if you report it and you go through with the exam, People are going to be there for you. I tell victims all the time, you're not in this alone, and I'm sure you feel like you are. But you have huge resources, advocates, counselors, law enforcement is a big resource. I tell victims all the time, when you and I sit down and talk about this, you have talked to me about something that is very personal, that you probably haven't even told your parents, or don't want to tell your parents. So you and I have a bond at that point. We'll have that bond forever. I tell my victims all the time, come talk to me if you need to. You've got the district attorney's office that you can rely on. But having a big support system, friends, family, utilize that if this was to ever happen to you. And again, one other thing I wanted to touch on, I think my wife wanted me to touch on a little bit, is the consent aspect. If you guys want, I can get the name of it, but there's a documentary that really hits the nail on the head about consent. I was sitting over here listening to my wife, and she said, a male and a female, if you're drinking, you can't consent at that point. Guys, if the girl says no, or girls, if the guy says no, if they like you, they'll call you tomorrow. No means no, and I know you hear that all the time. You've heard it through high school and into college. If they like you, if you guys have a bond, they'll call tomorrow. But consent is can be very fluid. And the documentary, and I can get the name of it and pass it on to Holly. But the documentary, you watch it. It was about a university down in Florida, and they actually filmed the sexual assault, and it was presented at trial. And the defense is saying, look, she never said no. Well, no, she didn't say the words no, but she's wiggling, she's fighting back. So you can sit in there and pick out how many times that she says no. So that's kind of one thing I wanted to touch on is the consent aspect. It may start off consensual, but there may be a time where there becomes a point where it's not consensual anymore, and you have to recognize that. And being impaired doesn't help that judgment. But so keep that in mind. And I'm gonna quit talking for a minute and let my wife talk for a little bit. And again, if I don't get a chance to come back up here, I know I ramble. If I don't get a chance to come back up here, by all means, if you've got any questions, catch me at the end of this, and we'll sit down and talk. Okay? Thank you.
Okay, a couple of things that I thought about after I talked about the Family Justice Center. If, let's say, you were sexually assaulted and, you want to come in, and if you just want to come in and have a forensic nurse take a look at you, because we can do just like a forensic exam, and because a lot of girls, they want to have somebody look down there. That's what they say. They want somebody to look down there and tell them if they're okay. So we will do that. If you are sexually assaulted and you just want somebody to take a look at you and you want meds to prevent STDs or pregnancy, that is what we are here for. Don't think that if you are sexually assaulted, you have to come in, you have to get a kit done, you have to report to law enforcement. You don't have to do any of that. So please at least just do that. Because sometimes if we say there are injuries, that gives them the green light to say, okay, I know I was hurt, so I'm ready to be strong and have it done. But also sometimes, girls, we have the ability to birth a child. So that area down there is very resilient, and it does not show trauma sometimes. And it heals very quickly. So even if you do have an injury, it could be gone within 24 hours. So let's see. And I don't know if I said we are opening that July 1st. So, we're going to have some brochures, and when we get those, I will bring them up here, and I'm going to give them to Holly. That way, if anybody wants to have a brochure, you can come by and grab it. Let's see. We will be doing, even if, like I said, we're only going to be open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and most sexual assaults do occur at night when we're not open. So, if you want to wait till 8 a.m., that is perfectly fine to come in. But if you do have injuries that require, say, stitches or strangulation, strangulations definitely go to the ER because if you are strangled, you can pretty much stop breathing within 3 to 4 days if you are not treated. It is very dangerous. We take it very seriously because that area down there, it just, for some reason, it gets traumatized and then it slowly gets worse and then it gets really bad very fast. So any type of serious injuries definitely go to the ER. But if it's something we can handle at the Family Justice Center, we will definitely do that. And it would probably be a lot quicker to go to the Justice Center because an exam can take anywhere from 2 to 6 hours, depending on how bad the injuries are. And some of you may just want us to collect vaginal swabs and possibly get semen from that. So we can do any part of the exam. It can take as little as long as you want. Y'all definitely have control of that. So I guess that's really all. What? Oh yeah, I have had people, whenever I'm doing the kit, they all of a sudden, they get so freaked out and so upset that they decide they don't want to do it, and that is perfectly fine. Or I have people, oh yeah, you tell me that. I forgot what I was going to say now. Lost my train of thought, Kyle. Also, we have had, this happens to me a lot, usually about once or twice a month. I'll have a girl come in and she's been sexually assaulted and she's already been talking to the police. She comes in and she's been up for like 24 hours and she can't even keep her eyes open. We do say it's okay for her to go home, go to sleep, and come back in and we can collect the kit. So there is a lot of options in what we can do for you and how we can help you. So the best thing is just to come or call. I think we're going to have a number or volunteers that are going to be answering the phone for the Family Justice Center that can help direct you. But I will get that information once it gets closer to opening, but it's not long. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Okay.
You said that this was a North Carolina law. Are there other states that recognize rape or have a different class for sexual assault for men who are victimized?
Did everybody hear her question about different states? What are laws in different states? I would imagine North Carolina. I've got friends that work in law enforcement in other states, and North Carolina. I don't want to bash them too much, but as backwards as I think they are sometimes with some stuff, they're actually pretty far advanced with some of this stuff. So I guess the short answer to your question is I don't know what other states define if they cover men in their rape statute. I feel like at some point North Carolina will probably amend that. I don't know. I don't think so. And for it to be amended, it would have to be somebody have to go in front of the legislature and present that. But I'm sure it's definitely doable. Where and I'm sure there's a lot of groups that get together and they travel to Raleigh and petition for the statute to be changed. So it could happen, and it may be in the process, and it's just something that we don't know about. One of the things I talked about earlier, you guys weren't in here yet, is they're constantly changing these statutes. The statutory rape statute, for example, used to say, I think it's 13, 14, 15 years old, and the suspects it's just really long and convoluted. So I guess a short answer to your question is they're constantly looking at these. They're changing them, they're changing the wording to kind of simplify them and to kind of capture more people. So that may be something that they're looking at that we just don't know about yet until generally July 1st they'll come out. The session has ended and they'll come out and say, okay, these laws go into effect on July 1st or these laws have changed. If it's not in July, it's always December 1st. For where the different statutes are, if you just Google, you can. I don't know if there. Only way I would know you would get to it is if you just went to the General Assembly website and went to. They've got a link over there that says General Statutes, and then you could just almost do like a Google search and just type in different keywords. Would probably bring it up. And I think Erica may have the actual, and if not, I can get them to you, the actual numbers, the code, the statute number as to what it is. So, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, just kind of in closing, I know that this is a difficult conversation to have, but you guys, we definitely appreciate you coming. You guys have already kind of taken that first step to, you guys are definitely the future, and the people that are going to be at the General Assembly petitioning to have these laws changed, possibly one day. But you being here you've taken that first step to show that this isn't okay, and that this is a problem. And that's one thing that I'll kind of close with is that I want everybody to know that this isn't okay. This is a problem, and that it's not okay, and that if it does happen to you, find somebody that you can talk to about this. But we appreciate your time, and again, if you have any questions, come up and talk to us. We'll be here for the next little bit. So, all right, you have anything?
Also, one thing I wanted to say is, girls, when you're out together with your friends, please don't leave each other. There are guys out there that are looking for groups of girls and waiting for the friends to break away. Please don't leave them. Just stay with them, and that's about it. If anybody has any questions, you can come up and talk to us. Thanks.
So if you guys want more information about campus safety, sexual assault statistics, so on and so forth, MC is going to be at the back with some resources. There's also a resource for faculty and staff and how you guys can be involved. So I thank you for your attentiveness, and if you have any questions, you know where my office is. And if you don't, I'm beside Nurse Grace. Have a good day.